Welcome to the Greg's Review Show today. We're going to get into a very mysterious video. Fair use for anyone. Thumbs up, like and share this video. Please support us through Cash App. That's GRC $ mantrap. Any donation will be greatly appreciated. So this video is fair use. It's talking about a lady that finally finds out that her husband is gay and the whole situation just blows up. So let's get into the video and I'll be right back.
My family called my older brother and he insisted. He's like, Bridget, what is going on? You have to tell me now.
That would be you.
That
right?
would be Lee. And I told him what was going on. He's like, Bridget, he's like, as soon as you get off the phone, I want you to ask him this question. You ask him, how many men have you had sex with?
So did you do that?
I did.
You then went home and said to your husband, how many men have you had sex with? What did he say?
He said 2. And I said, oh, really? Now, when were you going to tell me that? And what were their names? What was the relationship? Was it just like in passing? Did you have a relationship with them? And he had a relationship with them. And I'm like, how long were these relationships? Who are they? Where are they?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
So then you went online or found his computer.
yes. So I went and pulled down the history, and there were these men looking for men websites, cruising for men websites. And I went and clicked on the websites, and I was speechless. And I was like, Lee, what is this? And we went and looked, and then we went into the cache file and found all of these emails.
Yeah.
That would blow your mind if you saw them.
Well, I did see them.
Oh, you saw them?
Yeah, I did see them. And
okay.
My mind was a little blown.
Yeah.
Last night with my producers, we were going through some of the things, and I read just a few of those emails. And I got to tell you, that is some vile stuff that was going on there. To the point where I said to the producer, I do not want it in my brain. I do not want this in my brain. So I can't imagine that you, as his wife, and having carried the burden and shame and responsibility of giving the disease to him, suddenly recognizing that not only was he lying to me, but that there are ongoing relationships that he apparently was having.
Yeah, it was amazing.
So can you just describe, obviously we can't say what was in the emails, but the emails were him writing to other men that he'd been with, describing sexual acts that they had.
Looking for men to have sex.
Yeah.
Looking for other men with HIV who were married to have sex with.
Mhm.
Looking for men who would be the bottom guy.
Mhm.
Making arrangements to see these men, and then talking about the end results. And
So I know how I felt just reading. What did you do?
you know, I was numb, I was stunned, and it just like blew my mind because nothing fit. It didn't fit.
Mhm.
And so I was just numb. And by that point, Lee and my brother Jason and my parents.
When did you confront him with the emails?
Um, it took probably about a month and a half for me to,
Really?
yes.
Really?
And he had made me angry, and it was the last straw.
How were you able to sit on those the emails that he'd written, soliciting men and talking about the kind of sex they were having and who had had it? And
I was just like barely even able to digest it.
so you were able to stay in the house with him and still carry on a conversation?
No, because by that point, the relationship had broken down so much.
Okay, I want to get to the moment where you confront him with the emails, because now you have the evidence.
Okay, well, I had come home and he was uh, laying down, and I had asked him a question, and I said, "So what are you going to do? You know, how are we going to deal with all of this?" And he called me a really ugly word, and I lost my mind.
The C word, right?
Yes,
Yeah.
the C word. And I lost my mind. And I said,
You
listen.
know we hate the C word.
I lost my mind.
Yeah.
And he told me that he was the one that afforded me the lifestyle that I had,
Mhm.
and that I was at C.
Mhm.
And
Okay.
my head started spinning. And I said, listen, I know all about you. And I started talking about some of the things that were in the emails. And he sat up. And I said, you had better do right. You had better do right. And I said, you need to be gone by the end of the week. And it was like a Wednesday. So you need to be out of here by the end of the week.
Wow, that's crazy. You're gonna look at another video real fast that talks about
What the hell?
Life's hard enough. With Trump, harder.
He gave tax breaks
To billionaires.
Hi, it's Helena. Welcome to my channel, or welcome back to my channel. Let me tell you a bit of stories. Like, I think the whole Bishop Long situation was coming out, and I used to go to New Birth Missionary Church in Lithonia, Georgia, and all the allegations were coming out that he was messing around with young men. And so he would just go on like, how did you not know that he was deceptive? And because in the beginning we were very clear that we both wanted a monogamous relationship, that we were both straight and all of that. So it was very clear what our preference was, what we wanted to do in our lifestyle, for our lifestyle. So he was like, he was so deceptive, and how could you not know that he wore these tight muscle shirts and all that? He would just go in on Bishop Long, and I was one of the faithful people that I just never believed it until dang it, until he passed away. So, but he would just be so angry about it. So I'm like, when I look back, I'm like, most guys don't really care what you choose as long as they ain't affecting them. It ain't directly affecting them. They don't care. But him be so homophobic about it, like it really directly impacted his life, that was a problem. Second, he was very hypersexual. He wanted to have sex all the time, anywhere. Now, I know it's great to have an active sex life. You're in, a serious committed relationship. Preferably, of course, you're married, but I've never been married, so I can't talk on that. So you're gonna have to judge me. But everywhere, bathroom, fitting room, movies, car, beach, swimming pool. I mean, everywhere. And I was like, dang, I could, he was insatiable. It's like, it was never enough, but I just thought he was just so attracted to me. Like, okay, but when I look back at it, like, it was just always so much, almost too much, if that makes sense. But he was very hypersexual, and everything was about sex. Everything made him think about sex. Which brings me to anal sex was another issue. I'm not into that, but he would always try to push it. I know every week, at least once a week, he was gonna ask me, and I tried it a couple times, and I was like, this just ain't me. I can't do it. It's But he was saying, come on, just let me try one more time. Just let me try one more time. It's not gonna hurt. It's not gonna hurt. You're gonna like it. You're gonna like it. But he was always pushing for it. And when a man realizes his partner isn't into that, and he's still pushing for it, now I see that's a sign. Not to say that somebody's DL just because they prefer that or want to try that or want to do that. But when I'm saying that's not what I want to do, you can do anything, everything, but that's not something that I prefer or want to do, and you still pushing for it, it could be a sign. Okay. He was always falling out with his fraternity brothers. He was a Kappa. Maybe that was sign. Maybe it was, I don't know. I love my Kappas. I love y'all. But we do have to know that some of you are married to men. There are some Kappas that married their own fraternity brothers. So, but it wasn't the fact of that. It was the fact that he would be gossiping, talking about his fraternity brothers. And I know, when you're Greek, you're going to talk about, I talk about some things that's going on with my sorority sisters and stuff like that with him. But he would always gossip about them, talk about them, and then be back in their face. So it was like that fake kind of, it was like like a feminine, like it's like a feminine trait to do that. But he would always do it. But it was like he was more like my friend than we would talk about it. But then when I look back at him, like, most men don't really gossiping and talking bad about their friends that they hanging out with, like in a way that a woman does. But I couldn't tell. He was, like I said, he was a very masculine man. But for me, I just felt like he let down his guards. He was just a little more vulnerable with me. So these are signs that I just didn't pay attention to. He wanted to lock me down right away. So I know by our third date, we were in a full-blown relationship. By our third date, he was like, this is what I want. I want to be with you. We both, have the same values and same goals and things that we want to accomplish out of life, And so, yeah, we were in a full-blown relationship. And it was, to me, to kind of cover up what he was already into, because he was with a woman that nobody would think, he's with me, why would he be messing around? And I was younger and even, to me, more attractive. then because I was younger. And so why would somebody think that he was into men if he's with me? So it was like a cover up. They call it a beard, just a cover up. And so those were the main things that I noticed. Yeah, homophobic, hypersexual. I would catch him watching Love and Hip Hop by himself, and Real Housewives and stuff by himself. So it's one thing when he would just watch it with me, and I know some husbands and boyfriends, whatever, will watch it with their girlfriends or whatever, because can be contagious. Like you're like, I gotta see this, and then some people say, well, why does it matter? Well, because of diseases. I am very clear about what I want, but the reason why it scared me when I found out, and I got every single test known to man when I found out, because Black men are some of the highest carriers of HPV. And of course, I was worried about HIV. And of course, with us being very sexual, we're now using protection every single time. So I'm like, I was very afraid. And so this is a very serious issue. So what happened was, I was having I used to do a lot of big parties for my daughter in my neighborhood. And so I was hosting a big Halloween party. And he was like, so what do you want to do after it? And I was like, anything that does not involve kids, something with adults. For adults, like a costume party. I said, I'm gonna keep my costume on. I was mommy mummy during that time. So my friends, y'all already know who I'm talking about. I tell you this story, so don't blast him. I've tried to be very respectful to his privacy. But anyhow, so I was mommy mummy that year. He picked me up. We went to a place, and I was like, where we going? He's like, it's a costume party. It's a costume party. I was like, oh, okay. So we pull up to this place. It's completely blacked out. So I thought it was like a strip club. So when we get to the door, which I was fine with, when we get to the door, the guy recognizes him and asks him for his membership card. And I'm thinking, I said, you got a membership card for a strip club? And the bouncer, security, whatever, he was like, you ain't tell your lady this ain't no strip club. And I was like, what is it? He was like, the swingers. And he was like, and I see his face just drop, because I guess he just wanted me to get in there before he could tell me, because he just wanted to surprise me. But I was like, I ain't going in there. Why would I do that? That's not something that I want to do. I already was given so much to even go to strip clubs and do whatever the hell this man wanted to do. But now this, I said, no. And I said, how often do you come here? He's like, I'm playing. It's not a big deal. It's no different than me going to the sports bars. I said, it is if you're having sex with these people. I said, are you having sex with strangers? He was like, it ain't like that. It ain't like that. We're in the car, and I'm still thinking, are you having sex with strangers? Do you have sex when you go in there? It was like, it's not that. It's just like me going to the sports bar or strip club. It's not that big a deal. I said, it is if you are penetrated and being penetrated. I said, but how would you feel if you came into my house and you saw me having sex with a man? What would you do? Do y'all know what he said? Do y'all know what he said when I asked him what would he do? Now, we have been in a committed relationship that I thought it was just me and him. I'm involved in his family. We're talking marriage, everything. Do you know what he told me? He said, I would join in. And he said it very relaxed, because I'm like went to 100. I said, how would you feel if you walked in on me and I was with a man and this? And he was like, I join in. I join. It's not a big deal. Like, sex is not that. Like, it ain't a big deal. So he just saw it as an activity. I'm here devastated. Like, from the deception. I said, so this whole time you were pretending that you were, you're straight. And you're pretending that you're faithful to me. He said, you're blowing this, you going, wait, it ain't that. Like, dang, it ain't that. I said, well, you protected. He's like, yeah. I said, have you ever been with men? He said, just only with couples. I said, but with men. He was like, only with couples. He never admitted to it. He never admitted to it. It wasn't until a couple years later that he actually like got proposed to like this trans woman. So I don't even know if they still married or whatever, because he was still deceptive. Like whoever he's married to or be with, he's still a deceptive man. But that's how I found out. I was done with men for a while, and then I had my last serious relationship was after that. But these things that I've gone through, I've shared so many stories on my channel. These things that I've gone through, it makes me so hesitant about being with anybody because it's hard. People say, just pick better, pick better. It's hard to know who's honest. You know, I think it's easier when you never leave your town. Like I literally packed up and changed my life. I went from being in the hood, being out in Centerville, Illinois, where there was no opportunities for me. It's not that I wanted to leave. It's just that there was nothing keeping me there. I didn't know anything different. But I left and I moved my family down to Atlanta so they could have a fresh start. There's not one guy that I ever dated and I was in a relationship with in Illinois that ever left Illinois. They may have moved to St. Louis, which is like 15, 20 minutes away from Centerville. But they never would have taken the risk that I took to move my family, give us a better lifestyle, give us a better opportunity. And I've really worked hard to do that. So if you're at home, like a lot of my friends, they never moved. They still in Chicago. They still in Centerville. It's easy to meet and marry somebody from your neighborhood. But when you move to a new city, a new state, it's hard to vet people because even his mom and them, they thought I was okay with it. They knew that they thought I was okay with it. So it's harder when you're starting over, when you're, trying to be a little trailblazer in your family and trying to do opportunities. Because, yeah, if I were even to move back to Centerville today, I would be in a relationship and I would probably know their entire family because it's such a small town. But it's harder when you're going out to, you're moving, you're trying different things and you're, trying to, grow your life.
We're going to end it here, YouTubers. As you can see, uh, it's crazy out here in the dating game for the ladies, and you got to be extra careful out here. You got a lot of these brothers out here on the down low. As you see with the first video, the lady married the guy and finally found out he was gay, gave her some kind of disease. The second video here, fair use, fair use. She finds out her boyfriend is gay. So you got to be very extra careful out here, ladies, who you marrying, who you dealing with out here. It's a serious, serious dating crisis, and we need to be prayed up that God will give you intervention, intuition to figure out whether these cats are on the down low or are they straight or whatever. So let's pray, YouTubers, that God will direct these women and give them intuition, that they won't be caught up in these mastermind download scams. Thumbs up, like and share this video. Please support us through Cash App, GRC $mantrap. And God bless you. And next week I'll come with a wonderful video. So if the Lord say the same, please check with me next week with a good video. God bless you. Bye bye.